Welcome to Pep Talks with Eric, the podcast where self-work becomes system work. I'm your host, Eric Ayers, creator and author of SimRx, Transforming Healthcare, Leadership, and Culture by Design. This show is your space to shift perspectives, ignite action, and remember who you are and who we are in the process. Every week, we spark transformation, from burnout to breakthrough, from surviving to designing. You'll hear real stories, real tools, and real humans doing real work. So let's shift, let's build, and let's spark what's next together. I'll see you inside. Guys, welcome to another episode of Pep Talks with Eric. I'm your host, Eric Ayers, and I'm bringing back a familiar guest, Dustin Dean. Dustin and I met way back in the day in the VR healthcare world, and our relationship has evolved into brothers. That's the best way I can put this. And we have conversations all over the spectrum, from neuroscience to religion to how do we improve self. Ultimately comes down to that, which then leads in how do we improve the world? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So guys, please help me welcome Dustin Dean to the show. Dustin, thanks for coming, man.
Hey, Eric, thank you so much, man. It is always just a freaking pleasure to be on here with you. And brothers from another mother, man. There's no other way to put that. And it's always enlightening. It's always fulfilling. And I think that, like, you know, I always come out of our conversations together feeling that there was growth. And I think that, like, both of us agree, you know, it's part of that Ubuntu approach that you talk a lot about. But I think both of us agree that, you know, when you touch base with someone who really believes in prioritizing joy optimization and fulfillment, there's always growth. And I always feel that with you, man. And I'm always honored to be on here. So thank you so much for bringing me on your podcast.
Yeah, man. And thanks for always bringing the energy, because the energy elevates my energy, and, you know, it sets the environment for an incredible conversation. So super appreciate you, filled with gratitude. Thanks so much, man.
The feeling's mutual, 100%. The feeling's mutual, man.
Right on. So joy optimization, I've heard you talk about this before. And so I want to dive into this because, you know, we had a really good conversation before we hit record, and I'm like, okay, now my mind is traveling so many different areas. But joy optimization starts with what I think something that we talked about was like recognizing the hard stops, as well as understanding like self-forgiveness, right? So let's plant the seed and let's start there, and let's see where this conversation, see where it goes.
I love it. And I'm going to tie in my like brain fitness idea with what that is, because I think, you know, just kind of, and if you guys, I apologize to people who have heard my rant before, and probably the last podcast, but, you know, just the base state of the brain is survival. And, you know, our brain's continually identifying threats, and it's continually identifying negative things that can hurt us to keep us alive in its base state. That's what it does to protect us, internally and externally. You get a cut, oh no, you're gonna get you know, you're gonna get an infection, so it sends white blood cells. You know, you see that, you know, you see a dog walking across the street while you're walking, you might pick up the pace if he's, you know, if you see some you know, white drool coming out, or a bark or a growl, you know. It always goes to the worst case scenario. And I'm a big believer in brain fitness, that we have to train our brain to process life through our power and potential rather than our pain and our past. It takes effort to start looking at those positive things. So to tie it into what the amazing question you just asked about joy optimization, and that, I think that's part of the process, that victimhood and real pain and real grief and real frustration, we've been conditioned that that's part of the journey, and it's not. There's a difference between, you know, we talked a little bit earlier about curriculums. There's a difference between learning or even working out, the burn you feel after you work out. There's a difference between growth and actual despair. an actual pain. And I think what we don't decipher, and society with in many different aspects condition us, that there has to be this huge amount of pain before the glory. There has to be the tunnel, the dark tunnel, before the light.
Mhm.
And I don't believe that's true. I honestly believe once you hit that dark tunnel, you should take the trail, even if it's a little longer. You should take the peaceful, calm, fulfilling trail that goes around the mountain. You're seeing the sun the whole time.
Mhm.
Okay. This idea that we have to have this despair and that growth will come from it. I usually just see people survive through it. And then in any aspect of life, there's always learning. I mean, like, even if you take that decide to take that route, there's always learning. But it's so much more fulfilling, and I believe so much more what we're destined for when we come up against that despair, that hard stop that says no. And there's been a lot of things in my life, unfortunately, a failed marriage, and business, different businesses, and different, paths to education. I originally wanted to be a pharmacist, and and I fought and tried to make things work, and to no avail. Okay, the universe is going to put Dustin Deed here as, psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, performance coach, joy optimizer, brother of Eric Ayers. The universe is going to do that no matter what.
Mhm.
Okay, but but thinking I had to fight through this struggle, that I had to fight through the darkness, and not to, once again, not to say that there's not some form of growth that comes with minor pain, that comes with growing pains, if you will.
Right.
Yeah. So that's where I really see identifying when that hard stop hits. Don't keep fighting. Stop and see what's going to bring me fulfillment in this moment, and tomorrow and the next day, and go that path. Don't think I've got to get through this to make it to the other side, because I've found that other side is there, but it's a lot of pain and a lot of hurt, and probably a lot of hurt for others too, when we decide to continue to plow through something that the universe says is not working.
Yeah, because that hard stop actually puts a filter on what we're able to see anyway. So it appears to be brighter than what it actually is. And it's a parameter that's thrown up in front of us for a reason. And to go to put this back into something you said in the beginning, which I think is beautiful, is joy optimization is the opposite of living from the pain of the past. So the pain of the past has created our current understanding and our current viewpoint of the world. That has been our curriculum up until that time. So, of course, when we're thinking of joy optimization, that might sound like the most ridiculous thing in the world because our mind's cued into the pain of the past. And so, identifying, first of all, to say, I am worthy of joy, I have that ability, right? Is huge because our brain doesn't know that yet. And something I find super fascinating with survival mode is if you're being chased, we'll go to the dog that you were talking about. If that dog
Yeah.
starts growling and then, oh, I'm being chased, my body cannot experience joy at that time because it shuts everything off except for how do I keep this body alive? That's all it's worried about. When we have this metaphorical dog chasing us continuously, and it's our own self-created thoughts of the past, we're throwing these same chemicals into our body. You wanted to be a pharmacist, and we actually have the best pharmacist known to man inside each one of us, right? But it releases the chemicals needed that our body thinks we need and what it's become accustomed to. So if we're in survival mode, we're getting this continuous cortisol drip and boluses all the time. And when we're in that, we don't have the ability to think anything other than that. So how do we, had a thought. How do we just plant a seed of, wait a minute, when hard stops come into my life, that's my cue to step back and be like, what am I running from and why am I running? And what does Eric need right now? And I will pause. That was a whole lot.
Yeah, no, that was great. And that's exactly, and I think that, and in part, this is why I created my AI, Dean of Zen. When you hit that, spot, it's a bot that's programmed within my brain fitness, like, techniques and everything. In 60 seconds, you should get the solutions that would take an hour coaching session. But why I come back to saying that is, you could ask it at that point. Okay, is this something I should probably plow through or not? And obviously it's not all seeing or anything, but it will bring you back to reflection, and it's programmed with the way the brain fitness philosophy works. It's an AI, but it only operates within kind of the philosophy that that the programmer did it, and it will move things back to what do you really want in this moment? What is going to bring you joy in this moment? And that's the same thing I would tell people, because when you say, okay, you hit that spot, now what do I do? What brings you joy in this moment? Is this bringing fulfillment? Don't look at, I've invested so much time, or this person's going to be hurt. This person, not hurt physically, but like, this person's feelings are going to be hurt, or my boss is going to think badly of me, or no, when you hit that hard stop, that's just causing you to start to lose sleep and starting to get frustrated and out of your joy, out of your, best self, if you will. And I think all of us kind of know what our best self is. It's time to detour. It's time to step back. Now, that is something you're not going to hear very many places, because you're always going to hear, suck it up and plow through.
Yeah.
I think there's always a way around where you can be balanced and fulfilled while you're going on the journey. But the pain in the past, all that, but I've already invested. But what are my parents going to think? But what is my wife going to think? Like, and all these things, those conversations can happen, but they shouldn't be what we operate from.
Right.
What we operate from is right here and right now. How is my joy going to be optimized? Because what people don't realize is that struggle, okay, when you're struggling like that, the cortisol and everything that is being released in your body, and the lack of sleep, and the way your mind's running while you should be getting rested, when you're trying to fight and figure out something that is just keeps coming at you with difficulties, you're really hurting yourself. And to touch on, you mentioned something earlier, I think, or maybe it was when we were talking before, that I think is so important, though. And that's what, you hear in lots of different faiths and everything, the idea of generational sin. And I'm a big believer that, it comes from that conditioning of seeing others operate in a fight or flight manner rather than a thrive manner, a survive manner rather than a thrive manner. And when you see your parents do that, or even sometimes they pass it on to us, that burden of, this is what it is. Like, life is supposed to be a struggle. You do have this challenge that you can't get away from. It's who you are. And then, when we're conditioned that way, and our mind's already telling us, survive, 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 like, look at that threat. It takes a lot of work to step back and go, no, I'm meant to thrive. I'm meant to enjoy life. How do I maximize my joy in this moment without thinking about the costs, without thinking about, how hard I've worked for all this, or what people are going to think? Right here and right now, I'm hurting myself. I'm hurting myself literally by continuing to operate in a manner that causes me stress and too much anxiety. Let me step back. And that's part of my brain fitness thing is like, in advance, people need to be having go-tos that they love about themselves. The amazing things about you. Sometimes my clients, which they do not like it, but I'll give them an assignment, 50 amazing things about you. And it can't have to do with other people. It can't have to do with really serving others in a way. It really has to be what you like about you. So when you hit that spot, you can go back in and see, man, there is a lot of beauty in who I am. It's not just pain. And if I'm hurting that person by operating in fight or flight, I need to step back and, just like my beautiful children or my beautiful wife, I can see all the beauty in them, but people have, and there's a lot of reasons, but they have a hard time seeing the amazingness in them. But that's such a key to helping you maximize your joy. And in essence, when you love, the people that love you are going to be more fulfilled when you're fulfilled also. Sorry, that was a lot, man, but
no apology needed, because at the core of everything I heard and interpreted was identity. Identity of self is formed over our life. And there's many quotes on identity, and there's parables of there's two ways to navigate the world. One is to just be born without a identity, which is ultimately becomes our ego, or we develop one and we create one, and then we spend the rest of our lives, after we realize it's detriment to our health, we spend the rest of our lives getting rid of that identity and going backwards, right? So that's what came to mind. And something greatly valuable here that I want the listeners to key on in is when we operate from this identity, it's not just in the identity in terms of survival mode. So like, I'm surviving the world, I'm living on cortisol. It is not simply a detriment to self. It is a detriment to everyone you interact with. This is how Ubuntu works. It's not simply about self, it's about others. And the fact, Dustin, that you have an assignment for your clients to say, write 50 things that are awesome about yourself is Ubuntu in motion, because I was introduced to Ubuntu by a leadership concept of this tribe of 100 to 150. If someone in the tribe messes up, they're already tearing themselves up. Like, they're like, dang, I can't believe I let the group down. I messed up. I did this, and this. There's nothing you're going to say to me that's going to make it any worse, because I'm a worse critic. They take this person, put them in the center, stand around, and spend as long as time as they need to let them know the amazing things they do that impact that person's life. So when we start to shift, yes, and
beautiful.
And when we're able to do that for ourselves, now we're automatically in this category of no. I out of 100 things, I messed up one. God, these 99 things, like, I impacted humanity. And then you can actually legit say, I apologize for letting you down in this. I appreciate you bringing it to my attention. I am growing, and we're growing together, and you just helped me grow. And I just helped 99 other people grow in this other thing. So like, we almost skew the data, right? Because we're so hyper-focused on the one thing that we did that we can't see the laughter and joy and amazingness that we created all around us. So I freaking love that. And guys, I will have to say the Dean of Zen AI tool, you're going to hear Dustin's voice. And if you can have the awareness to say, oh, I hit a wall, stop. Let me call and just ask a question. What happens in this at a pathophysiological level is the hormones and the chemicals that are released, they last in your body about a minute. What you're doing is you're allowing your body to absorb this while redirecting focus and prompts, and it's a tool to shift your mindset into where do I need to go? And then you start releasing a different set of chemicals that are actually going to align you with where the path you want to go, instead of living in this painful past that the brick wall just made you aware of. Like, you hit your head and you can say, oh, my head, or you could say, oh, cool, what do I need to learn? And both of those questions, both are right. And they both have drastically different paths after that question. So,
well, and one of the things that I don't know, I'm biased, of course, but one of the things I really like about it too, it's interesting when you go through this concept and there's like hours of recording and you know and you know uh assignments and everything put in there that you've developed over the years, and then you call it yourself, and or sometimes my wife will call it, you know, and it answers how I would answer, but I even have so quickly that I even have to step back and go, whoa, would I? Yeah, I guess when I think that through, I would answer it. And the other thing is that I like the way it is, and I think it's a learning curve. This is a new technology that a lot of people are not comfortable with at first. Is you can talk to it like you would talk to me in a session. And I guess maybe my sessions are a little different in coaching, or even when I was in doing therapy, they're a little different in that you can question it. You can say, that doesn't work for me. And it will give you more things. And you can say it again, that doesn't work for me. And it will give you more things. And you can say, okay, that kind of worked. The first two worked. Give me step by step. How do I implement that? Nice information, but how do it, like, you know, it's not a session and it's supposed to be kind of short, you know, 2 minutes or under, hopefully. It should
yeah,
give you solutions. Like you said, we want that chemical change going, that the move from fear to knowing you're supported, and, and eventually the neuroplasticity that will come from all those things being released. It is it's a beautiful, emotional and physiological experience,
yeah,
that does help with the brain fitness process. And thank you for describing it that way, because, so many times my focus is on the verbal and what I have worked on over the years, but like, understanding that this isn't just something that's happening with words. This is happening with chemicals and things being actually grown and developed and strengthened.
yeah. And it's unlearning and relearning, right?
Yeah.
Is
Yes.
at the core. And it's one human helping another human in a way that is asynchronous and is like no longer has time bounds, right? And
It's
so
24/7. Yeah.
yeah, so Mick Evelyn of Non Impossible Labs is like, how do we use technology for the sake of humanity instead of the sake of technology? Like, why adapt AI if you're just gonna use it to have fun with AI? If we're gonna do it large scale, help as many people as you can, and do it on purpose for the sake of humanity. And that's the way I see this moving. So, this season is about moving from me to we.
Yes.
This is because it takes the me work in order for us to help the we. It's been overused, but the oxygen mask in the on the airplane. But it's so true that they continue to use it to this day, right? Put your oxygen mask on first before helping someone else. Once you help yourself, all of a sudden, now you're able to see that next level of, oh, how do I help others? Or you're able to tap into the alignment of who you are, and it automatically flows into you
Yes.
now helping, because your story, my story, resonates with other people. And as my story ripples into their current story, they see potential for shift in their life. And like, that's beautiful. And this is the subtle, like I've shared this with you before. This was the subtle yet so profound moment when I was just hiking one day and saying out loud, Ubuntu, I am because we are. I am because we are. And then wait, but we are because I am. And
Yes.
I'm like, what? And it was dude, it was worthiness, like
Yes.
pure vulnerability here. It was worthiness of, wait a minute, it's not just everybody helping me. Like, I'm adding value. I'm throwing sparks of transformation, like here and there, and seeds are planting, watering seeds, harvesting, whatever my role is at that time in their life. And this is how it operates. Like, sometimes I am because we are, and sometimes we are because I am. And that ebb and flow of bam. So this is the work that Dustin is doing. And yeah, so I wanted to highlight that because
this is what I love about, sorry to interrupt, man, but I gotta hear, man. This is what I love about talking with you is like once the Aladdin's lamp is rubbed, like the genie is out. Do you know what I mean? And that's
you can't go back. You can't go back.
And it's so beautiful. And exactly what you just said, like that focus, everybody will embrace that they're there to serve others, but they will never, or rarely, it takes work to embrace that I can't until I love me, until I serve, what you just said, that we are because I am. Okay. And it was so funny how our minds work, because you were going through this and I was listening, but I was still stuck with the oxygen mask.
Yeah.
Because that's a very powerful, that's why it's used a lot. It's very powerful. But I found in therapy, in helping people through therapy and coaching through the years, is that they do have to put the oxygen mask on. But I think the part that's missed in that is, because they'll even say, even with your kid, you got to put your oxygen mask on before you can put theirs on and everything. But what people don't realize is our purpose is not to put other people's mask on. Our purpose is to put that mask on, and automatically they're going to do it too. And so many people spend all their life trying to go around and, first of all, they don't put it on themselves, but put everybody's mask on. But even when they do put it on, okay, yeah, maybe they reach over and put one here. Then they're trying to reach across the aisle. Theirs falls off. And then they're like, and it's just like, no.
Yes.
Teach people the way. Like, this is the way. Like, sorry, like to quote Star Wars, like, no, but like, teach people, show them the way, show them the life and the oxygen. And maybe the ones that are close, if they need a little help, but more likely than not, they will do it automatically.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've just let them see their power. Mm-hmm. And you've let them optimize their joy in a way, like then they're in control rather than in reliance. And that's something that we talked about earlier, is like, the toxicity of victimhood. And, it can tie into that. If you put their mask on and it falls off, and you then left yours on and went and helped somebody else, well, now you didn't say, why did you help them and not me? But if they model that behavior and the freedom that comes with that, and realizing they have the power to, that's why I'll tell you that 50 amazing things about assignments. Nothing has put more of my clients in tears than that assignment. Nothing has actually had like verbally, like people become verbally angry at me than that assignment. And it's a great opportunity to then have this discussion. Wow. Like, you got to love you. Like, why is this coming up so like in this manner, and I've never, by the end of it, obviously everybody does come around, and well, I don't want to give the assignment away, but sometimes, 50 isn't necessarily the golden number, but like,
right,
you got to push it. You got to see those things and see the ridiculousness in, I can do 100 of my kid. I can do 100 of my wife, but I can do 10 with me. Like, and that's, yeah, sorry to interrupt, but like, boom, like my brain just blew up, man. And I'm like, I got to get that out. I apologize.
Yeah. No apology needed, because Yeah, I jotted down notes because, I'm getting downloads left and right. Empowering others to take control of themselves and in their lives. That's what coaches do. We are empowers. Like, we empower you to take back what you already know. We're helping you remember. And so the mirror effect, and even if I have to help you, you're doing the work and you're building, the neuro pathways needed to create this. And you brought up probably the greatest point I've heard in a long time is, if I put your mask on and it falls off, you're going to blame me for it. Even though I was helping, you're going to blame me for it. This is healthcare, man. Like, this is healthcare at its core. What came to mind? I'm going to do my best to articulate this. Early on, I had this recognition of, wait a minute, when someone tells me to do something and I do it and it doesn't work, I get pissed off at them. And I like buff up. I told you this wasn't going to work, right? I don't want to do this. This is pain. Yeah. If you suggest, we need to do X, Y, and Z, how do you guys think we can do this? And I'm like, I'm enrolled. Right then, I enrolled. You don't even have to worry about buy-in or engagement, because I enrolled myself and you opened the door and said, hey, do you want to come play? And I'm like, hell yeah. And I'm like, we can do this, this, and this. And then we try it and it doesn't work. I will not say, told you this wouldn't work. I would say, dude, that sucked. We got to change X, Y, and Z. And what just happened? I was empowered to be part of the process. And now I'm part of the solution.
Yes.
And I will not stop until this works. And along the way, I got 10 people that just followed me. And now we're all working on this and we're all enrolled. And the leader of this whole thing is sitting back going, I didn't have to spend much time on this at all, right? I didn't have to go, how are we going to do this? I asked the people involved. They actively enrolled themselves and I empowered them. Leadership, coaching, I empowered them to be the best versions of themselves and to bring their genius, which, by the way, guys, is our 5-year-old self. That's our genius.
Yes.
Always has been, always will, to the table. And they created something that we never would have thought of at a boardroom table in a meeting and over here. No, they did this in real time and it was super quick and we didn't get blamed for it. There wasn't this negative cultural ripple of, man, they're just making us do things. No, we were active participants in creating solutions. And that was the like, that's the oxygen mask scaled, right? This is process improvement by use of oxygen mask analogy is what Eric formulated from that.
No, 100%. And, the big words that stick out there to me are part. Once you allow people to become part of the process, the pain lessens, okay? Because they're part. And that at the end of the day, that's what everybody wants. Please just make me part. And people think there's power in keeping some out and others, part. That at the end of the day, that never works well. You're limiting yourself because, together we all have different talents and different strengths. And I was just thinking about and this is what I love about being on with you is like the concepts. We both understand how these concepts work, but you're so good at explaining it, at a developmental stage level and at a chemistry stage level and everything. And I just pull it out and say, hey, because I was just thinking when you said your 5-year-old self, my brain automatically goes to, do you know why our 5-year-old self is a genius?
Why?
There's no fear. Fear has not been conditioned.
Yes.
Now there is that's a stage of development where we're curious and all these things, but there's a lot of brain development and all those things that are going on there. But Also, there's no fear. When I'm 5, I have no fear. Like, I haven't, well, and experiences happen, unfortunately, with kids and everything. But like, if a safe environment has been like a semi-safe safe environment has been established for that 5-year-old, there's no fear. The sky's the limit. Which is also why you can't give them a cape and expect them not to jump off the porch and think they can fly.
Right. So there's no unrealistic fear.
Yeah.
Right. There's yeah. So there's things that our body is like, that's loud, that's hot, that's something that gives us cues, but those are still learned. But to your point, yes. And I mean, dude, there's either like fear and love are the two drivers of where we go. And the beautiful Wayne Dyer would say there's either love or love going in the opposite direction. Like, that's it. So
true.
So a 5-year-old is just pure love, which is no fear. And it's like, when you said people want to be apart, I remember, okay, I'll say it this way. I remember being in elementary school and like sports came easy to me. But still, I loved when I got picked to be on a team because someone took the time to say you're on this team. And it somehow at a young age, I realized that impact on me. And I would always pick the people that didn't get picked.
Yes.
And like, I don't care if we win.
So
but
I used to care if we win, but I would always be like, okay, I'm good enough. Like, come on. Our team. Like, let's do it together. This is going to be way more fulfilling if we experience this together.
Yes.
And you're not, I would never pick the player, the player who was like next best. I never did that. I always picked from the bottom up and then got the medium ones, because there was value in that win to me.
And how much bigger of that is even if we don't win, if we come close, if we give, our best and we're like, one more run, we would have won this kickball game. Right. But we had ultimately is what the others perceived as scraps. And it's like, no, your worth is more. And all of this was, I had no idea. This was my 5-year-old self leading the way of just knowing. And that's to your point, the no fear. Our 5-year-old selves knew how to interact in the world without being taught. Like the human connection piece, we knew how to do it. That if we got to age 10 and we were disconnected, that was conformed out of us. Right. This is my belief of we were born perfect and things were conditioned to misalign us. So if I picked the person who was always picked last first, I automatically uploaded their energy level to wait, what? I'm worthy. Let's show the other people that wouldn't pick me how great I am. And now we just transmuted energy.
This might be a sidebar, but I'd like to like tap this because
go for it.
So like sports started for me like about 4th grade, right? And that it was the same scenario, okay? Where I would then pick, like the kind of the guys that didn't get picked and everything, okay? But by the time we got to, and I was a little bit older than everybody, so I was always bigger and I was always better up until we got to high school. Now, some of those guys like that were last always respected, like some of them grew to be like 6'5" and 6'6", and I stayed 5'9". Okay, you know what I mean? But they still, even though like they could handle me because of what went on there, because I showed them value then, they always respected there. And that shouldn't be a point of doing it, but it shows the power of being part. That, you don't know. And I think also some of them went on and, played college basketball and, and I played D3, but they played in better schools than me. And I think some of them went back. What if they wouldn't have got picked? You know what I mean? Because like you just said, I really think that energy level comes up, and long term, there was times that like when we'd go places, high schoolers do dumb things and people would get rowdy or whatever. And like, I was always protected.
Yeah.
Because of that. you know. Now, I made a lot of choices, and there was times I abused it. And like, I'm not saying that I was perfect by any means, but what you're talking, this concept of part and
Yeah.
giving someone what you have, and maybe even not, like, my dad was very athletic, so I inherited a lot of it. There was nothing I did to earn it, but even with those, it was part of me and I loved it. But being able to use that to give to somebody else, it's part. There's power in part.
100%. And, you know, if 5 years ago, if someone would have asked me, you know, who's your 5-year-old self, it would have been a different question than now. Over the last year, I've remembered key aspects of who I am that originated from this sandbox of this time period, right? I was always a leader. Always inclusive. Of course, people might have felt not included, and I could have inadvertently left people out, but the intention was everyone gets a trophy, right? Everyone gets to play. Just give effort, and let's give, you know, the benefit for the effort, not the outcome. Because, you know, back behind me says everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll spend its entire life thinking it's an idiot or stupid, right? Just because I am good at sports and this person over here may be amazing at writing code that can create virtual reality programming in a week to showcase education, those are two separate geniuses. One's not better than the other.
Well, I think they got the saying wrong. I think everybody is a trophy.
Everybody, yes, yeah.
Not in a negative way, because people will say trophy, but like everybody has that like golden
value. Yep.
And you know, like that's why you saw that in them, and that's why you included. What the outcome was, even if they weren't the best at building sandcastles, you were like, oh, but they can hit a baseball. Or even if they weren't the best at building sandcastles, oh man, this is the best Super Nintendo. I don't know what it was. When you're the Sega Genesis, I don't know. No, you're probably too young for all those. Like, I don't know.
No, I started with an Atari. With an Atari. I did.
Right. We're close. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I was gonna say Atari 2600. Like that was where I was at. I was like, this is the best Atari player. But you know, and trophies been given. You know, I mean, there's so many terms. I didn't mean it in like a derogatory way, but like the value is there, and everybody gets one. You know, there is that's on an earned based system rather than they are
yes
they are the value, they are the, rather than what they perform. And that's where, you know, I get that there has to be some type of system in ways that like can, you know, can somehow do that sort of thing to decipher like who's good at what, but at the same point in time, everybody's good at something.
Yeah, I mean, that's why the Justice League was so big in my eyes, right? Because all the superheroes had their own superpowers. They didn't do everything. There wasn't one person that did all things.
No,
right? They all shared and they all stood up when it was time, when they were called upon, when they were needed. And that is no different. The reason why that was so impactful and the reason why we were able to buy into that is because we innately know that's the way that we operate. Whether we have the full mental capacity at the moment to break that down into full understanding, we all have a knowing that this is what it is. And this is why, like, when I speak to you, certain conversations come up. When I speak to other people, other conversations come up, because it's our shared attributes,
yes,
but also our differing attributes teaching one another. So and this is why conversation to me is cool. Anyway, this whole, I don't know, this is fascinating, and it's like every time I get this new understanding of life, I'm like, oh, now I've got this figured out. And then all of a sudden I'm like, metaphorically punched in the gut with, no, this goes deeper. There's more. And it's like, okay, now what do I need to remember or to learn? And yeah, so dude, thanks for the space. Thanks for the conversation. And yeah, thanks for always bringing you to the game. I appreciate you more than you know, my friend.
Hey, the feeling is mutual, Eric, and I'm just so glad that that we were brought together to know each other, and to just bounce ideas off each other. And I think that there's always a huge value in the conversations I have with you, and I always leave uplifted and hopeful and reflective and going, hey, whoa, yeah, man, think about that. All the chemistry that's going on there when someone calls the need of Zit AI, or I think of a lot of those, the different perspectives that all have the same mission. I mean, even the Ubuntu, and the way that, like, kind of the path of our lives, like, even looking back, if and like I said, I had a lot of abuse, and there was a lot of, like, challenging things. My dad was schizophrenic, my mom was borderline. He was in and out of, like, facilities, and there was, like I said before, abuse and stuff. So I wasn't always perfect within that process, I think, because I had my own insecurities. And I think sometimes that plays out, especially with athletics, and maybe some, because some people might be watching going, hey, Dustin's like sending out some messages that aren't totally true. But the heart was always there. Okay.
Yeah.
The 5-year-old always wanted everybody to be lifted up, and everybody to work together, and it was a diluted version because of some fear that I had to work through, and my brain wasn't in shape enough to understand that, it's okay to thrive, and you don't have to set boundaries to prove that you have value. Your what you bring to the table on performance isn't your value. Who you are is your value.
That is beautiful. And you brought something up that you said you weren't I'm paraphrasing. You weren't perfect in, some of the things that you did, some of the ways that you responded or reacted because of the process, like the way that whatever the process was. So whether that was the current situation of the structure of learning from a child into, school age child, teenage years, adulthood, like all of these processes create our ability to interact, our ability to make decisions. So I wrote down broken process equals broken application.
Yes.
This is fundamental at an individual all the way to an organizational level. If you see a person or a group of people not applying what you think they need to do, maybe it's not the people, maybe it's the process. Maybe it's the structure, maybe it's the foundation, and maybe they are simply doing what they've either always done or
working in healthcare, like how I'm
exactly, which is like, if you look up, I think in the dictionary, the opposite of innovation, I think we've always done it this way. So maybe they're falling into that because they've heard it so many times, or maybe they're simply doing so many workarounds because the process is broken that they're doing the best they can. So identify the fact of, if we set their coffee maker to go off the night before, or set it the night before to go off 2 minutes before their alarm clock, when they wake up, they're ready to go and there's no walls in their way. And we cared enough about them that we created processes that enhance their attributes instead of rely on their attributes to step over the process each and every day. So broken processes lead to broken systems, which lead to broken people as a group. So all of that is also learning. So broken process equals broken application equals learning. If we have the ability to hit that hard stop and be like, where's the shift? Let me call the Dean of Zen AI and be like, this is what's going on. What's my next step? And actually working, collaborating for next steps as a process to change humanity. Because if we change like, it's like giving someone socks to walk on ice with, right? We would never do that. But if we did, and then we judge them with their inability to stand up and walk straight, that's freaking asinine. That's ridiculous. So we give them the ice skates or whatever the case may be, or no, instead, let's melt the ice.
Exactly.
Right? So
give them a vote, right?
exactly.
It's quicker anyways. Like
exactly. So like all of these are the things that we discussed today are very individualized, but are very scalable, because once they're individualized and we're able to break this down, then we're able to see how these individuals interact and work with other individuals that are doing the same thing that these individuals are doing. And if we're all working to become our best selves become best culture, right?
and it starts with that first step of loving you and those 50 amazing things about you. The only way to become our best self is to love the things about you. And so many people have a hard time doing that. There's a lot of conditioning that goes on. Don't be prideful. And the idea of pridefulness, it's not. I'm a big believer of there's nothing wrong with saying I'm the best. There's a lot wrong with saying I'm better than. And as soon as you start comparing yourself to other people, because we're all individuals, if you have a talent that you're the best in, or you believe you're the best in, even, I think that that's productive. Okay. The second we start comparing is the poison of mental wellness. In my experience.
So it's shifting the metrics. It's the metric of me versus you, as opposed to me versus yesterday, which is me versus me yesterday. Yes. That's the difference of metric of I'm the best. I'm the best version of me versus I'm better than him, her, whatever. Beautiful. Beautiful.
No, it is, and the only other thing I would also encourage people, find those 50. And if you have a hard time doing it, another assignment I'll give when people are struggling is say, watch your life as a movie and you're the main character, and disconnect yourself from the main character being you. Watch your life as if it's not you, but then step back. And when you see how resilient that character is, and you see the whole picture, instead of just operating out of the untrained brain that sees all the negative and all the failures, when you see the whole thing, you're gonna love that character, and you're gonna have no problem finding 50 and maybe 100, because you do it with others. Do it with you.
Absolutely, man. What a great place to end on. I love that. You've mentioned it a few times. I'm going to have it below, but where can people find you, Dustin?
www.mindmaxed. So mindmaxed.com. The hard part is the ED. So remember, maxed, MAXED, www.mindmaxed.com. And if you're interested in the AI, it's available for a subscription. You just pay a monthly subscription, and you can use it whenever you want, 24/7. You can get solutions in under 2 minutes. It's coaching. So it is, it's not medicine. It's not, it's not for crisis situations by any means. And it's very clear with the terms of agreement, but I think it's pretty useful, and the impact that the people that have tried it, that it's had, all the feedback's been positive. And if not, like, you can reach out to me on the website. I think my email's there too. I'd love to hear if it's not, but I really think it can be a game changer in having a 24/7 resource to just touch base with that will give you solutions that I know work,
Yeah,
and
for
it might
sure.
not work for everybody, but I know that they do work over my years of practice. So, Eric, I just can't thank you enough. It's always a joy. It's always a pleasure, man. Thank you. Thank you for
Absolutely, man.
being you also. You're a beautiful, brilliant human being, and we're gonna change this world.
Oh, it's already changed. We're bringing it into reality, man. And
Yeah, that's true. They're better. Yeah.
through conversations like this, I freaking love it. And guys, take Dustin up on his offer and send him feedback. He is one of the best communicators I think I've ever met in the industry. If you email him, you will get an email back always. If you post something on social media, more than likely he's going to share it and pump everyone up about it. Just an incredible, amazing person that is doing some incredible, beautiful humanity work. So glad, so grateful, so appreciative to be on this shared journey with you, Dustin. And dude, we could spend all day talking.
We could. One more thing I got to throw in that I
Go
forgot.
for it.
It is a free 3-day trial. It won't bill you till after 3 days. So if you try it and you don't think that it's something that's helpful, please try it and try it consistently. But if you don't, you can cancel. And it is free for the first 3 days. And I'm just really excited about it. I also do coaching, like there's one-on-one coaching opportunities there. One of the coaching also includes the AI. If you decide to do weekly coaching sessions with me, you get the AI bundled in. The other thing I wanted to say too is, definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. And just like Eric said, I'm always, I love to support people, and we're all on this journey together. Mm-hmm. So let's talk.
Awesome. Guys, moving forward, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to use Dustin's activity to challenge you. Write down 50 things that you absolutely adore and love about yourself, and take your time with this. If you begin to get frustrated, pause, breathe, and remember the amazing individual that you are, because you are absolutely incredible. I believe in you. Dustin believes in you, and so happy and grateful to have you in this community. And let's continue to scale Ubuntu and shift the world through these ripples that we do through communication. So thank you for joining me for this episode of Pep Talks with Eric. I am so dang excited to see you on the next one. But until then, be well, be loved. Thank you for listening to Pep Talks with Eric. If something sparked today, pass it forward. Remember to subscribe and share it with someone who needs it. Keep doing the thing. Keep showing up. You're not alone in this, and we're not whole without you. I'll see you next time.